Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of the Big Blue News Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Beesmore, and of course, we've got my co-host Nolan Fleming with us. How are you doing, man?
This is our third take, so and considering I wrecked the last one, I'm trying, man.
Yeah,
Really
the third take.
third.
Yeah, the first take I messed up. The second take, he's been having some audio problems, technical difficulties, but we're going to do great on this third take. I mean, third time's the charm, right?
I pray that it is. I think it will be. We all got things to do. It's a Sunday, but you know what? What? I love talking UK. Let's just talk UK, I guess.
Yeah, it's a Sunday fun day, and obviously he's holding up a mic. Usually it's connected to his headphones, but he's having little technical difficulties. But let's get into it. We're going to talk about UK Fan and Media Day. I went to both events. Sadly, Nolan didn't get to go to any of the events, but we're going to talk about offense and the defensive side, what I saw during fan day, and then also whenever I got a chance to talk to the players and coaches during media day as well.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone with you, but I've been here, stuck in beautiful Muhlenberg County. So, you know, uh, is what it is. Well, I hope we get to do it next year, though.
Yeah, whoa, bro, did you just dox yourself?
I did. Yeah, I guess I did.
Oh no, that's terrible, bro. But all right, we'll get into the podcast. So we'll be talking a lot, mainly on the offensive side with Devin Leary, the wide receiving core with Dan Key, Barryon Brown, Dekel Crowdis, Tavion Robson, the whole crew, along with Ray Davis, and then we'll talk a little bit on the defensive side with Jalen Geiger, Deion Walker, all the great players, and JJ Weaver. But let's get into it. The one thing that really stuck out to me whenever I got to talk to the coaches and players during media day, it was about how Devin Leary he has that leadership. Like everybody trusts him as quarterback, and that's a big thing if he can show leadership. And from what Liam Cohen said, Mark Stoops, the wide receiver and core, they all have trust in Devin Leary being a leader.
Well, it's like we've talked about on the podcast before. To be a quarterback for Stoops and for Kentucky, you got to have a toughness to you. Like we just talked about 20 minutes ago. Uh, all the quarterbacks Stoops has had all had a toughness to them and had an edge to them. Whether fans liked them or not, that's a different thing. Whether fans wanted them to be the quarterback or not, different thing. But they all had that edge to them, and they were all tough. And like we were talking before, Terry Wilson even had that edge to him. Like Leary's coming off of an injury.
Yeah.
He's having to be tough because, you got to be tough to get back. I mean, there's no telling. I mean, when I stump my toe, I'm down and out for about 3 days. But there's no telling what a torn pec, like what that's like getting back.
Yeah.
I imagine that, and he's definitely had that edge to him. It looks like to get back into play in the blue and white. But like we said, Terry Wilson had that knee injury in 2019, I believe, and it took a lot out of him. He said before to get back onto the field in 2020, and while 2020 really wasn't a great year,
COVID too.
Yeah. Still, I think there was a respect from fans about the toughness it took for him to get on the field, and the same goes for Levis. He had the injuries last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I think about it, we're really injury plagued at quarterback.
Yeah, injury plagued that quarterback, and maybe it's because they aren't getting protected as much with the offensive line. I mean, last year that was like one of the worst O lines that UK has had in years.
I would have died if I was the quarterback. I definitely would have died.
Yeah,
There's I don't play football, but
yeah. I
uh,
like I said, I know you mentioned previous quarterbacks, but I think my favorite quarterback was probably under Mark Stoops. It's probably Steven Johnson. I mean, he took so many hits his 2 years here at Kentucky, and he always came back. Not obviously he wasn't 100% healthy, but he would always come back from his injuries during the game and help UK lead them to a win. Obviously, sadly, UK never won a bowl game under Steven Johnson, but he really turned the program around with going 7-6 his 2 years here at UK.
yeah, and somehow that team found a way to make the Music City Bowl really hurt. the Northwestern game. That loss still pains me a little bit.
Me too. I mean, you also lose your starting running back as well because the refs got their feelings hurt.
Never being dumber than that. That was one of the dumbest calls in history, in my opinion. The ref grabbed him. He got the ref off of him because they're not supposed to do that, and then he got thrown out. Like, come
Yeah.
on. But
No
no,
good.
even that year, like even in the Music City Bowl, like talking about injuries, he played the end of the year with a near broken back. Like
You're broken back. Yeah. His
that,
shoulders and were killing him. Shoulders, arm, elbows. Yeah. Everything.
yeah, he might as well have had a broken back. I mean, talk about like having that kind of injury as a quarterback. I mean, that's just
Hmm.
like I said, you got to have a toughness to you. Even going back to Patrick Tolles in a way, he even had sort of an edge to him. I mean, he wasn't good, but he had.
Gosh dang, calling him out, man.
Uh, I mean, well, I shouldn't say he wasn't good. He was all right. He was fine. It's team wasn't good. I think I misspoke there.
But
I will admit I am a sucker for Patrick Tolles, to be honest with you, because he's the first quarterback that I remember as a child.
mhm.
And that Mississippi State game where we almost beat the top ranked team in the country, I love that game for some reason.
Yeah. My probably my quarterbacks I remember as a young kid would probably be like Mike Hartline and Andre Woodson. Those two quarterbacks I do remember as a young kid, child growing up watching them play.
A little bit before me, man. Heartline was Tolles. I guess it was the first one I really remember, and I feel a little sense of loyalty there, I guess, because he had games where he just looked like incredible. I mean, heck, we forget in his second year in the 2015 season when they were 4-1, he wasn't like up for the Heisman, but about games in, he kind of was like people were talking about it a little bit more than we thought. I remember seeing a ranking of sophomores who could win the Heisman because that's the year Jared Goff went off, right? That's the year.
I think so. It's been forever with Patty Toes.
I remember reading that article on ESPN where they're like sophomores who could win the Heisman, and number 2 was Tolles, and I was like, or number 5, whatever. But I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, speaking a little bit of injuries, Devin Leary talked about that whenever we got a chance to talk to him and everything, and he told us that he is fully healthy. So here is what he had to say about his recent injury and overcoming it.
Yeah, I think, obviously anyone that comes off the injury, especially a season-ending injury, it really challenges you and tests your true love for the game. I think for me, first and foremost, I need to get healthy for this team. And that was my first priority, was make sure I was able to compete in the spring. And, here I am today, fully healthy, 100%, feeling no restrictions, feeling best shape I've ever been in. And, for me now is just continue to be that leadership role for all my teammates and continue to, advance with Coach Cohen as well.
But yeah, so he told the media he is fully 100% healthy and he's excited to be back because he says some players, whenever they get season-ending injuries, they're like, do I really want to, come back and play football or play the sport that I'm playing in currently?
Right. But like I said, he has a toughness to him about it, and I'll just leave it at that. It takes a lot, I'm sure, and the fact that he has been able to pull it off is something we should all respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you were mentioning earlier, he had a torn pec, but he also had another season-ending injury a couple years ago. So he's had 2 season-ending injuries, and the main thing Kentucky has to do this upcoming year is have a better offensive line. And being at Fan Day yesterday, the offensive line did look improved compared to last year because I remember I was at Fan Day last year. And it looked like the UK defensive players, they were getting to Will Levis with ease. Obviously, you had a lot of great defensive players last year. I mean, you had still JJ Weaver on the team, DeAndre Square as well, Jalen Geiger. I mean, the defensive team was loaded. Also, you had Keydron Smith, Jaquez as well, Jaquez Jones, I think his name is.
This, but if you could carry the podcast for about 5 minutes, I have a really important phone call I think I need to take real quick.
Oh, it's all good. Yes, I'll carry that podcast.
It should be about 5 to 7 minutes or so.
Oh.
I'll be back
I'll carry this podcast on my back like I always do, man.
before me. Have fun, bro.
All right, sounds good. Well, Nolan will be right back, of course, and I'm back with the podcast. So, obviously, we just got done talking about how I think the offensive line has definitely improved compared to last year. Like I said, last year I thought the defensive players they were getting to just Will Levis with ease during the fan day, and I was like, I'm nervous about that. I think I even mentioned it in my podcast last year. I'm like, I'm a little nervous about our offensive line, and then come season time, it was not great, but I'm hoping with the new offensive line that UK has this upcoming year, it'll be a lot better. I think it will be. I mean, you brought in Cortland Ford, Marquise Cox as well, Ben Crispin. I mean, UK, they have brought in a lot of new offensive line this upcoming year, so I think with the new offensive line, they'll be able to protect Devin Leary. So I think UK will be fine on the offensive side, hopefully. I believe they will. And defensively, I think UK will be great. I mean, Jalen Geiger is going to be back fully 100%. He got injured last year in the Florida game. JJ Weaver will also be on the team, so I'm excited that he is back as well. And I think overall, UK will be great both on the offensive and defensive side. And I hope UK can get back to their winning ways. Obviously, they finished above 500 last year. Didn't win their bowl game, going 7-6, and I'm just hoping before the bowl game, I'm hoping like 8-4, maybe 9-3 this upcoming year. I know they have a tough schedule with Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi State, Louisville. I mean, they have tough games, Florida as well. So it'll be interesting to see what UK can do with their new offensive coordinator. Obviously, not really new, but bringing back Liam Cohen. And I'm just excited to see what UK can do this upcoming year with Liam Cohen back, Devin Leary as the quarterback, and then of course bring in the returning pieces in the wide receiving core with Berryon Brown, Dane Key, Tavion Robinson. I'm just excited to see that. Devin Leary did talk about why he transferred to Kentucky, and one of the main reasons why he did transfer here to UK was because of Liam Cohen. So here's what he had to say about that.
One of the reasons why I came here, I wanted to develop and be the best possible quarterback I could be, and that starts with Coach Cohen, really. I just want to continue to learn from him, continue to be the best possible player I can, and then, on a side note, just from a personal standpoint of like being able to have him as an outlet to ask any type of questions.
And to continue to talk about the offensive side a little bit more, we can also talk about the wide receiving core that UK has with, like I said, I mentioned earlier, Berryon Brown, Dane Key, Tavion Robinson, Dakel Crowd, the list goes on. And they did mention in the press conference, Mark Stoops and Liam Cohen, that they are a little bit nervous about the wide receiving core just because it's so top heavy this year. Obviously, it was top heavy last year with Dane Key, Berryon Brown, but they're just a little bit nervous about that. But Dane Key, he does not believe that the wide receiving core that UK should be nervous at all. One of the main reasons why is because he believes UK, they have playmakers on this year's team, which I think they do as well. But here's what Dan Key had to say about UK having playmakers this upcoming year.
I really feel like this offense can be explosive. With Berryon, me, Dakel, Tavion, Anthony Brown, y'all gonna hear that name a lot, I promise. Like, we have a lot of playmakers, and I just know that we can all go out there any time of the game and impact the game.
And with Dan Key talking about the playmakers that UK they currently have right now, I think it will go over well this upcoming year with Kentucky. Just like I said, I'm excited to see what UK can do under offensive coordinator Liam Cohen. I'm not really nervous about the defensive side. Mark Stoops, he's a defensive guy as well. Obviously, the head coach, Brad White, he's a defensive coordinator at Kentucky. You also have Mike Stoops as well on the defensive side. I'm not really nervous on the defensive side at all. I mean, you did lose a couple players to the draft with Jaquez Jones, DeAndre Square, Kennington Valentine on the defensive side, but you plug in the holes, you bring in JQ Hardaway, Jalen Geiger is now fully healthy, and I'm just excited to see what UK can do both on the offensive and defensive side. I think UK will have a great year this upcoming year. They also brought up that Nick Hall, he's the offensive tackle for Kentucky, one of the offensive tackles at Kentucky. he will probably miss this upcoming year with a medical red shirt this upcoming year, and potentially he could be out for his career. Obviously, it's early, so UK will make an announcement about Nick Hall very soon. But overall, I'm excited to see what Kentucky can do this upcoming year on the offensive and defensive side. And look, we have Nolan Fleming back, so I don't have to repeat myself anymore.
I've come to save you. That was a really important phone call from somebody you'll see on the Amateur Sports Scholars blog. But
Oh, any
But,
on who it is?
it was a recruit. That's all I will say.
Recruit. Oh, UK recruit.
Kinda. But expect to see here. But anyway, what were we talking about?
Well, the last thing I was talking about was just talking about both the offensive and defensive side. The last thing I really brought up was just how Dan Key, was talking about having playmakers on this year's team, and then I also talked on the defensive side how I'm not nervous at all with with Brad White being the defensive coordinator, Mike Stoops, also being on the defensive side, and then Mark Stoops being the head coach, just how great UK's defense is and how I'm not worried about that at all.
Yeah, and I'm really not worried about the defense ever, as long as Brad White's here. I mean, it was a different story, obviously, here before 2018.
Yeah.
After 2018 and after, never been a concern. 2017, that defense was abysmal, but I'm not concerned at all about that defense anymore. That defense is like going to be stout no matter what.
No matter what.
I think it'll be better this year than it was last year.
Potentially, I mean, you did lose, like I said, whenever you weren't here. I mean, UK, they lost at least 3 players on the defensive side this past year with Carrington Valentine, Carrington Valentine, Jaquesson Jones, and DeAndre Square, but you still have JJ Weaver on the team. You brought in transfers with JQ Hardaway, and then also Jalen Geiger is on the team. So Deion Walker as well.
Yeah, and Deion Walker, I expect big things from him. Isn't he a preseason All-American?
I think so. I mean, he's only a sophomore. Last year, he played as a true freshman, and that dude was insane.
Yeah, if he can do what he did even a little bit last year, I mean, the sky is the limit for that guy. And I think if there's anybody who can get the best out of him, it's going to be Brad White and it's going to be Mark Stoops. Like I said, I always feel good about the defense, and especially if you have a guy who can just be a superstar like that. Deion Walker, I think, is going to be a first-round pick. I'm just going to go ahead and drift into that territory. He's going to be a first-round pick. I can't think of a way that guy isn't a first-round pick next year because he's just so huge, and he's kind of an athletic specimen in a way.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. I think he could easily be a first-round pick. I mean, this past year, Jalen Carter, he slipped just because of personality issues, but
He didn't slide that bad.
he didn't slide that bad, but he was still a first-round pick, and I definitely agree with you on that with Deion Walker. I definitely think he could potentially be a first-round pick as well.
His way up if he can play his cards right and play well enough, he can work his way into a top 10 pick, I think.
Yeah, and easily Jalen Carter, obviously he didn't play at Kentucky, he played at Georgia, but he could have probably be a top 10 pick this past year if there wasn't, character issues with him.
Absolutely. Had it not been for the scandal that has kind of happened with him lately.
Yeah.
Get into too many to that. It's a little too upsetting for this, but
yeah. No
like
talk of Jalen Carter or other SEC schools now.
Unless it's like huge. Oh, speaking of, Pac-12's dead.
Pac-12, yeah, it's now the Pac-4.
Pac-4, it's gonna die. I mean, everyone acts like there's hope for it. It's dead. No hope.
Yeah, for sure. You're not wrong about that. Yeah, who knows what they're going to do, like where they're going to move.
12.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going to move for their schools now, for their conference.
I think the talk was maybe Oregon State goes to the Big Ten. I think it's something I've seen.
Mhm.
And I think Stanford would go to the Big 12 because it's kind of like, I guess it matters about where your rivals are.
Yeah.
Washington State also goes to the Big Ten, and I would say go half and half to the Big Ten, half to the Big 12 is what I would predict.
Yeah, I hear you, but yeah, so it's right now the Pac-4, but yeah, back to Kentucky. We can talk more about on the offensive side, but whenever also talking to the wide receiver core, I talked to, of course, Sankey, but also talking to Barryon Brown. Barryon Brown talked about how Liam Cohen, he'll be able to get what the wide receivers the ball no matter what, whether they be, the quarterback, a running back, or being the flex wide receiver, whatever.
Right. Like we talked before, Barryon Brown's going to be he's going to be a superstar either this year or next year one, especially with Cohen. 'Cause I think Cohen's going to run him a lot like Wandale Robinson. It's going to be, we talked about in the last podcast, take 2 of the podcast.
Take 595.
Yeah, the yard sale episode of the Big Blue News podcast. But
Yard.
I think there are going to be games where we're going to be like screaming at the TV, get the ball in Barryon's hands.
Or Dane's hands.
Get the ball, or Dan Key. Dan Key is a little different, though, in a way. I mean, Dan Key is fast, but Barryon Brown is crazy fast.
Yeah. And we had so many opportunities to beat last year.
Yeah, and Dan Key is especially, he's the type of guy where you throw it up and he'll probably catch it because he's so tall and he's long.
Yeah, so lengthy, bro.
Really lengthy receiver. Shut up. but yeah, excuse me. But he's a guy, if you could throw it up there, he'll catch it. As proven by that crazy Florida catch.
Yeah. And so many people thought that was incomplete. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Barryon Brown can do. Like I said, he's confident that Liam Cohen can get him the ball along with the other receivers. But yeah, here's what Brown had to say about Liam Cohen and getting the ball to everybody.
Great, just seeing the things he had Wandale do. Always good for a receiver to see another receiver shining. Because one day you'll want to be in that spot. So knowing that he could get you the ball wherever, running back, slot, receiver, quarterback, wherever you want to be, Liam can make it happen. So just having a versatile coach is a blessing.
But could you imagine though if Barryon Brown could play quarterback this upcoming year? Obviously not full time, but just a play. Because he mentioned that, even as a wide receiver, Liam Cohen could get the ball as a quarterback, if Brown was the quarterback,
I hope we don't have to resort to that like we did in 2019. I hope we don't have such an injured quarterback room to the point where we have to put a wide receiver at quarterback again.
Mm-hmm.
To Lynn Bowden's credit, though, he was a great quarterback.
Yeah. Through the game touchdown, man.
Oh yeah. How about the fact that we don't talk about that enough with Lynn Bowden? How about the fact that that touchdown was a pass? Yeah. And we talk all the time about how he couldn't throw the ball because he couldn't. Let's just be honest. Yeah. Lynn Bowden could not throw the football.
No.
He was throwing the football as a quarterback when he was quarterback here. But that's a quarterback I always forget about. Lynn Bowden was a quarterback. We talk about mental toughness. Heck, he was the toughest of all of them. He had to go through a position change within a week.
Yeah, within a week, but he definitely was able to succeed being the quarterback that year.
The quarterback here, especially for what they wanted, and the offense kind of thrived.
Yeah.
But good job, Eddie Graham. That's one good job.
Yeah, time for Barryon Brown to be quarterback this upcoming year, not Devin Leary.
Yeah, no, can't do that. But maybe there's a trick play somewhere, flea flicker, something like that. I'm sure there's something.
Yeah.
But no, that would be pretty funny if we did have to do that again.
Yeah, that would be awful.
But that would suck. Yeah, all this hype just going right down the drain, pretty much. But I think, like I said, Brown's a guy you're gonna have to get the ball to, and if that's the scenario where you gotta get the ball to him, give it to him.
Yeah, I hear you. And then another player that I wouldn't mind talking a little bit more on the offensive side is Ray Davis, the Vandy transfer. He also talked about the main difference he has seen coming from Vandy to Kentucky along with his previous schools is that there's just a difference at Kentucky compared to the programs that he previously played at.
Wait, am I supposed to talk right now, or are we playing a recording?
I was planning you to take over from, well, I was about to say from Ray Davis.
It's been such a long recording session for us. Like, I just want everyone to realize that we are now entering like an hour and like 20 minutes, where usually these things are about 35 at the most.
Yeah, 35, 40 minutes at most. Yeah, for
Early
sure.
podcast recording of my life. So, and I've done this for about a year. So,
Yeah, the main reason why we had to start over was due to technical difficulties with Nolan's mic.
my microphone broke pretty much. But no, Vanderbilt's not Kentucky.
Not wrong.
But I don't necessarily expect him to be. I don't know how I say this. I expect him to be really good. Don't get me wrong. I don't necessarily expect Benny Snell from him. I don't necessarily expect Chris Rodriguez, but those are the two greatest running backs in history of the school, though.
Yeah, I mean UK, they have had a lot of great running backs, like you mentioned, but you can also mention JoJo Camp. You can, yeah, Stanley Boone Williams. I mean, the list goes on, and hopefully this upcoming year, Kentucky, they can have a great running back room, and I think they'll be able to with, like you said, Ray Davis. You also have Ramon Jefferson back, Juton McClain, Jamarian Wilcox. I mean, the list goes on and on. That's like the biggest running back depth room I've seen in a while at Kentucky.
The guy from NC State, whatever his name is, they got him.
Yeah, got him as well. I mean, that's 5 running backs we just named just now.
That's something, man. I mean, you got a lot of depth there in case something goes really wrong.
Are you having a party right now with your microphone? Changing lights on it?
I didn't like that color.
Didn't like that color. You like that blue now?
UK a lot better. This one does. But like I said, I think excuse me, Ray Davis. I think I'm having a total mental lapse right now. Ray Davis is going to be a really good running back. I think. I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but like I said, he might not necessarily be Chris Rodriguez or Benny Snell, but I think he's going to be rather close. I think he's going to be closer than we think. I think he's going to serve this offense especially well, especially considering what Liam Cohen seems to like.
Yeah, and I'm just very excited to see what he can do. But yeah, here's what Ray Davis had to say about, changing programs coming to Kentucky and what he had to say about it.
Just the work ethic, just the guys and the coaching staff and the players, everybody, when they come into this building, they're ready to work, they're ready to grind, and that's the thing that I appreciate about, when we step in that building, it's all about working. It's all about doing what we got to do to get to where we want to go. And we gotta sit there and work and grind, and that's just been a difference from the places I've been before.
But yeah, overall, I'm very excited to see what Ray Davis can do along with the running back room, the wide receiving core, quarterback, bringing the whole thing with Liam Cohen back. I'm just excited this year for Kentucky football on the offensive side.
Yeah, I am too. It was also nice to hear him talk about the work ethic, because that's just a thing. Again, here at Kentucky, work ethic seems to it's really blue collar mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he notices that, I think, is really important.
Yeah. Well, a couple more things I want to bring up about UK Fan Day. So I'm also going to bring up, there were a couple of botched snaps I saw where some snaps were like this high up, like went above the head. Obviously, it didn't go like past Devin Leary, but had that. And then I also noticed some snaps were like coming below, like closer to Devin Leary's feet. And I'm like, hopefully that doesn't happen this upcoming year because I don't want any bad botched snaps,
Yeah, center was a bit of an issue last year, as well as long snapper, and we don't need that again this year.
Yeah.
How was special teams looking? Did you ever see any of that yesterday?
I didn't really get to see any special teams at all. I checked out both the offensive and defensive side, but like I said, I did see a couple of botched snaps yesterday, and I'm like, we can't have that, come season time.
Right. We talk about the offensive line. Let's just think about how many points we left on the field with the special teams last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not just Matt Ruffalo.
Yeah. Oh no,
but I mean, just a lot of things, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did leave a lot of points on
stuff.
We did lose a lot of points though through the special teams this past year, and hopefully with Jay Boulware coming back, UK, they will be great. One last thing I do want to mention in the podcast is, though, UK. They landed the 4-star quarterback Stone Sanders. He committed to Kentucky, and I'm ready for what he can do. Obviously, he's class of 2025, so we're still 2 years away from him stepping onto campus.
It's going to be good because, I said, we got Cutter next year, and they'll probably go get someone in the portal. Whether Cutter's the starter or not next year, that will be interesting to find out because he could be. But the fact that Cutter will be a starter by sophomore year, probably,
I would say sophomore and junior year for sure. Yeah.
because he could be an NFL talent.
Yes.
But the fact that you'll have him and you'll have Stone, that's going to be really positive for the program and really positive for that quarterback room. It could potentially bring the deepest quarterback room that we've had in some time.
Yeah, and for sure, I agree with you. I think next year, I don't think Cutter Bowley will be the starting quarterback. I think UK will probably, like you said, bring in a transfer quarterback after this year with Devin Leary. And then probably, like you said, by Cutter's sophomore year of college, he can potentially be the starter.
Yeah, I think that definitely will be the case. And like I said, it'll be a deep room when that happens.
Yeah, and I think with Stone Sanders, he even said in the interview, whenever he got interviewed, why he committed to Kentucky, and was because of the Liam Cohen effect.
Yeah, I know. I've heard, and you have too, probably. Everyone knows by now that he's a Liam Cohen guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's been deeply connected with Cohen for some time, so I think there was a connection there longer than he had been recruiting Stone. So that's what we thought we were going to get with Rich, that we're getting with Cohen instead. But if he's got that deep of connections with him right now, just imagine what we can get a few years down the road.
Yeah, if Liam Cohen stays Kentucky, I think we'll be fine with the wide receiving core, along with getting top talented quarterbacks from the transfer portal, but also through high school recruiting. I don't think UK is done with also recruiting in the class of 2025 with quarterbacks. I think they are also going to go after Ryan Montgomery as well. I know he was named as well for the quarterback hunt for Kentucky. So could you imagine landing 2 quarterbacks in the class of 2025 with Ryan Montgomery and Stone Sanders? That would be insane. Just it shows how UK is different now with Liam Cohen being back.
Yeah, like I said, really deep quarterback room again there. I think it'd be a really positive thing to have that many quarterbacks. It's something we have lacked over the last few years. Especially last year.
Yeah, especially last year for sure.
Offense, Kyle Sharon, he did stuck threw the ball rather well for the most part in that game, but
yeah,
that's something we need, is just quarterbacks who, if something does happen to our starter and he's down for a few weeks or something, they can pick up where we've left off or close enough to it.
Yeah, I think the last time we had that was probably back in 2016, whenever Drew Barker went down, and then we brought in Steven Johnson, and then he became the full-time starter basically after that.
Honestly, are you Sawyer Smith?
So
no, we did not win against Florida. We almost did, though.
we should have, honestly.
Really should have. I think Chance Poor hits that kick, we do, probably. Because there'd been 40 seconds left. That defense was holding Florida. Like, they were really holding them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Florida moves down the field. I think they win if that happens.
I think so too. Only a Chance Poor hit that field goal.
And it was another instance of one of our quarterbacks getting hurt. He got hurt. That's what happened with him. It wasn't that he, stank or anything like that. It was just unfortunate.
Yeah. Sawyer Smith got hurt. I think he got hurt in that Mississippi State game, I believe it was.
He was actually playing okay until he did get hurt too.
Yeah. But yeah, the podcast is about to come to an end, but I know it's been a long podcast for us. It was only like a 40-minute podcast that y'all are going to see, but man, it was more like an hour and a half trying to film this because of all the takes we had to do.
Yeah. I don't have much to say. Oh, well, Twitter's doing good for me right now. 150 followers.
Yeah,
Yay.
he's verified finally. So yeah, make sure to follow him, Nolan UKY27. Follow me as well. Chris Beatsmore _ sports on Instagram, I believe, and then C Beatsmore Sports on Twitter. So yeah, give me a follow. One last thing. How was your weekend, Nolan?
Not over yet. I'm going to see Barbie today with my girlfriend. So
Oh, finally. So we can actually like make some memes, from that as well, finally. But yeah, the weekend isn't over. It's only, 2 p.m. at this time of the recording. By the time the recording will be uploaded, it'll probably be like 4 or 5. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed Barbie. Maybe we can make some memes in the next podcast finally about that. But yeah, I'm just going to relax. Yesterday I had a long day and went to Fan Day, got some lunch with friends, and then I went to the pool. So overall, I'm just going to relax once I get this podcast uploaded.
I would do that if I was you, and then enjoy going back to work at midnight.
Yeah, picture it. I have to work in about 10 hours or so, so not fun.
Stay sober, go Big Blue, have fun, but not too much fun.
Mr. Exhibition, Antonio Reeves,
Antonio Reeves. That's all I got for him. So, Chris, lead us out.
Yeah, all right. I appreciate you all watching. We'll have more podcast episodes to come, and I'm excited to see what Kentucky can do this upcoming year. We're going to have hopefully some special guests coming in, previous Kentucky football players, but I'll keep y'all up to date about that. But thank you all for watching, and this is Chris Beastmore and Nolan Fleming signing out.
Peace.